Longtime viewers of this YouTube channel might recognize this Macintosh SE. I've had it for over a decade now. I actually found this in the dump about 11 years ago now, and it has been sitting in the corner of my room over there for most of that time. I've pretty much just been using it as a decoration piece. I've only booted it up a few times in the past decade, like I said. Recently that has changed, and I figured I would make a new video on it. Now, you might be asking yourself, or you might be thinking, Ryan, what are you talking about? This is just an empty Macintosh SE case sitting right here. And to that I say, you are absolutely right. That is because the Macintosh SE looks like this now. Check that out, guys. So, as you can see, I have been making some modifications to the case, and this is pretty much with encouragement from my friend Chris. He's very into vintage Macs and such, and he kind of encouraged me to kind of get into mine because really, like I said, it's been sitting this whole time. But as you can see, we have a different case. Now, what on earth is this? Well, back in the day, Apple made a few prototype Macintosh SEs that had transparent cases, and the reason for that is because the SE was the first Mac, the first compact Mac that is, to include a cooling fan. And, previous Mac models suffered problems from overheating and damage because there was no airflow in the case. And so, for the SE, they decided to put a fan in, and the purpose of the transparent case was so they could blow smoke through the machine and kind of see how the air was traveling through there. Anyways, what does that have to do with this one? Well, a company called MacEffects actually produces reproduction injection mold polycarbonate cases for the Macintosh SE and SE30. They come in 5 different colors, and as you can see here, this is the semi-transparent model, which actually is a limited edition. They only made 25 units of this case, and not only is it semi-transparent like this, it actually glows in the dark. So that is pretty cool. It's a limited edition, small run cases, and I actually emailed MacEffects. And the reason I emailed them in the first place was because I didn't see the color option on the website that I wanted. So I emailed them, they sent me a picture of all of the models, and I inquired about this one, and the owner, Mark, was kind enough to sell me this one. And he said that it was one of only 2 that he had left in stock. So that was really cool. This is a very special case, but really I just like it because of the aesthetic. I think this looks super awesome. Now, I was originally going to retrobrite the factory case, but I decided against that just because that's kind of a little bit cumbersome to do, and I decided to go with this instead, which, as you can see, I think looks pretty awesome. I will go ahead and pull the camera off the tripod real quick so we can go ahead and take a look at it. But as you can see, here is the Mac. Looks really cool. I also went with their transparent speaker. They make a couple of other things for these vintage Macs to kind of complement their cases and such, but that is a fully transparent speaker. I think that looks pretty cool. And as you can see, it does have a replacement decal. Of course, it says SE30, which this is just a regular SE, but I do have plans to upgrade to an SE30 logic board later. But with that said, I think it looks pretty freaking awesome. It also came with a certificate of authenticity, like I said, because it is a limited edition case, and so that was kind of nice to see. But as going around the backside here, you can see it is semi-transparent like we talked about before. So you can see the internal workings of the machine, including the CRT, the analog board, and the logic board all the way down at the bottom. And you might be able to tell in there that there is what we call a blue SCSI, and it is a little bit tough to see, but it basically is a SD card emulator that goes in place of the stock hard drive. So I might be able to turn this around and you might be able to see it just a little bit better. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to put the camera back on the tripod for this part. There you go. There's a pretty decent view of the back of the machine. But like I was saying, it is an SD card hard drive emulator, so it takes the spot of an old SCSI hard drive, and you can use an SD card instead, and that allows for much easier transferring between like modern computers and getting files onto the machine, obviously, and it eliminates the heat and the mechanical failure point of an old hard drive, so that's pretty nice. I have a 16 gig SD card in there with 3 1 gigabyte virtual partitions, so that's pretty cool. So that was the only other mod that I've done. Otherwise, this is a completely stock SE. It was already maxed out at 4 megabytes of RAM, so that was nice to see. But anyhow, moving on. Going towards the back, again, you can see all of the inner workings of the machine. I have a little blue scuzzy picture, or a sticker on there, rather. And then, of course, you can see the MacEffects decal that I applied. I did have to put some clear tape over the back of this expansion slot because it did not come with a new blanking plate, and the one from the factory case doesn't quite fit on there. And, of course, it doesn't look super great, but... So, we got the transparent packing tape, but from back here, you can't even really tell. And really the only reason I did that is because I don't want like dust or small objects falling in the machine. But down there you can see we have all of our ports and such. And there's plenty of videos going over these compact Macs online, so I'm not going to go into super detail. But I think that was pretty cool to show you guys the case. And I think now we're going to transfer over to the new setup that I've made for this machine. I am parting out my gaming rig. I was actually able to put a SSD, PCI Express SSD in my Mac Pro and just boot camp Windows, and this thing runs games way better than this old gaming PC, so I am getting rid of that. And in its place, I decided to make the vintage Macintosh setup. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and put the Mac back in the setup over here, and we'll boot it up. Alright, we're in the setup, and as you can see, I have a little bit of vintage Mac aesthetic going on over here. They also did include a clear case for the Apple ADB mouse, but unfortunately I do not possess that model of mouse at the moment, so I'm actually using a newer mouse from like the mid-90s with this machine, but I will save that for a rainy day. Anyhow, let's go ahead and boot it up for you guys. So like I said, it is just a vanilla SE, so we are running the 8 megahertz Motorola 68000, and it is maxed out at 4 megabytes of RAM. And like I said, we do have that blue SCSI in there, so that at least should be slightly faster than a normal SCSI hard drive. But this machine naturally, of course, is not very fast. But that's not really the point of it. It's a vintage Mac, so, you know. Let me turn down the screen brightness so you guys can actually see that. How's that look? It's a little better. See if I can go even dimmer. Alright, there we are. So it does take a little bit to boot up, obviously, but it is a vintage computer, so that kind of is part of the appeal. And one thing I really enjoy about this machine is that the previous owner, whoever they were, left all of their stuff on it. So this thing is absolutely loaded with software, mostly games, but there are quite a few other things on here that is pretty cool to see. So without further ado, let me go ahead and zoom in on the screen a little bit so we can actually see what we want to see here. There you go. So I guess first off, this thing does not have a PRAM battery because they are ticking time bombs on this machine. So I snipped it out of there a little bit ago, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to set the date real quick. 120, well, it's 22 today, I think. Or no, it is the 21 today. Whoops. Okay, there we go. 21, and I'm pretty sure if I do that, it thinks it's 1921, but, you know, close enough. And then I also have to set the mouse speed, which is kind of annoying to have to do on every startup, but it's better than an exploding PRAM battery destroying the logic board, so I guess I will put up with that. But let's go ahead and go into about this Mac first. And as you can see, it is running System 7.0, so the original version of System 7 here. This thing does run quite a bit better on System 6, but I really don't like System 6. I prefer System 7 for a lot of reasons. As you can see, we have 4 megs of RAM. That is a pretty bad limitation of this machine. If I try and run like anything, if I try to open more than one program at once, it runs out of RAM quite quickly. So, like I mentioned earlier, I am looking for an SE30 logic board, so we will be doing that eventually. But for now, I do enjoy this machine as is. Let's go ahead and just run something real quick just to kind of demo the machine. Let's try Microsoft Word. because that's kind of neat. It does have, I believe, Word 5.0 on it. Yep, from 1991, so that's pretty cool. She takes a minute to load, as you can see, but once she does, I can go. Yeah, works just fine. So we'll go ahead and quit that. You get very familiar with the quit command on this computer. Go ahead and not save changes. So that's Microsoft Word, not too exciting, but like I did mention before, this computer does have quite a few games on it. I haven't even tried them all. That's how many there are. But got a lot of vintage stuff on here. Let's see. Let's try and find one that I actually enjoy playing. You know what? Let's go for everyone's favorite. Let's go for Tetris. I believe that's the same game that I demoed on here before, but you know what? Screw it. We're going to start there. I'll probably demo at least 2 games before I end this video. Although my camcorder is about to run out of battery, so that's going to kind of hamper things a little bit. But let's go ahead and launch Tetris. Now this thing did have an accelerator card in it, but I wasn't able to get it to work. It was not enabled, and trying to load the extension for it crashed the machine, so I just removed it for now. So it is, again, running the 8 MHz 68K, and while you're playing Tetris, it actually does struggle to play the music and the game at the same time, which you'll see here in a second. But let's go. Alright, there we go. That is not a good piece to start with. Whoops. Oh well. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. So it does work. And of course Tetris is a classic retro game. So that's kind of nice. Pretty fun. Oh boy, it is getting faster. I must have selected level 5 by accident. But yeah, you can see it runs okay, but you can see the music stops periodically. That's just because the CPU can't keep up. But it is what it is. Anyhow, that's Tetris. I think I'm just going to lose real quick so I can demo another game. So there you are. We'll go ahead and quit, and there we go. Let's go ahead and quit that. So that's one of my favorites on here, but there are other games. So let's try one of those. As you can see, it does take a little bit. One of my favorites is Hangman, and it is exactly what it sounds like, but it is kind of fun. Let's see if we can guess what word they want here. Okay, there's 2 E's. That's cool. I try and go for the easy, like the vowels first, but okay, there's an R. Cool. No I's. How about an O? Ah, there's 2 O's. Interesting. B? Nope. Let's see, what do they want here? Nope. Only got 4 guesses left. I don't think I'm gonna get this one. Oh, odometer. Yeah, look at that. We got it. Anyways, it's pretty fun. Again, I haven't even explored all the games on here. Like, there are just so many, but that's cool. And then, of course, they left they left their AOL account on here, so there are a few emails that are archived, which is kind of funny to see. Let's see. Well, I really don't want to put these people's emails up just in case they're still active, which this computer was last used in 1998, so we don't know, but either way, you know, I'd rather not do that. But anyhow, that's oh, I can actually show these, which is just who I guess this computer was given away at some point, and so whoever gave it away left a couple of documents for the new owner because they probably, you know, weren't super computer savvy or something. So if we open Word here, you can see this one is entitled Hooking Up, which is what it sounds like. It's just instructions on connecting the computer, but go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Well, not real quick, but as you can see, it's just cheeky little instructions on how to set the computer up. So apparently this computer was given to someone named Lynn. But yeah, anyways, kind of neat. I really enjoy the software on this thing. That's what really gives it some charm. When, you know, old computers like these kind of have a story that helps. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn up the brightness back to where I think it should be, which somewhere in there should work. And we'll go ahead and shut the machine down and end the video. But there you go. So let's go back out. So yeah, guys, that is the video on my Macintosh SE. Little update because I've made some modifications to it, obviously. Like I mentioned, I do plan on trying to find a Macintosh SE 30 board that'll give this thing the 68030 and a much higher RAM limit, which will, you know, make it just quite a bit more versatile. But with that said, that's my Macintosh SE, and I'll see you guys in the next video.